3.0T community is torn. The cost of the new blower and performance output, and it's not going to be just the cost of the blower. Fueling needs to be sorted among other things. What horsepower gain can justify it? The horsepower gain that's something you have to justify.
Well, nobody knows what it
and
is.
We're not there yet. We haven't been able to run this thing on. Ideally, we want to run it on full ethanol and see what it's really capable of. We have some fueling fixes in the mix. To date, though, the stuff we've been working on, we had to revise a couple of hard parts, which are a huge pain in the butt to revise. So that's what's kind of holding that up, because we're talking like, fueling components buried down in the motor. You have to peel everything apart. It's a lengthy process to go back to, remanufacturing some parts that you need to tweak. So,
that's a tough one. I mean, this has been the problem with the B8 supercharger from the very beginning. Is the factory head unit is very, very powerful. It flows a lot.
Especially given the fueling system that you're able to kind of work within, it kind of all comes to a head at the same.
Given that it's free
and it's included,
it comes with it.
Yeah,
right. So to get anything any amount better is $10,000 or. And now you've spent a lot of money to get just an incremental increase over the amazing, excellent stock blower.
Yeah, because there's no in between, right? There's no other blower that happens to bolt up that works.
Well, and turbos are like $2,000. They're cheap comparatively.
Right. It's a beautifully built, massive, piece of kit.
I mean, I think if TTE 710s were $15,000, people would be having the same conversation.
Absolutely.
So we will release a tune that won't make as much power as anybody is hoping for, but
due to the limitations of the motor.
But it will be a start.
Yep.
And then we will continue to develop it and make more power. I think hopefully if you've bought a supercharger, you're committed to the supercharged platform for a while.
Yeah.
And you're not, just looking for like an overnight, 200 or 300 horsepower increase.
Yeah, and there's, people are saying, well, I won't buy it if it's not 700 wheel. That blower is not going to be 700
then
wheel.
Don't buy it.
Yeah, we're talking a 1900.
I'll tell you what you should do.
If you see
buy a B9.
Yeah, if you see one of the TVS, 1900, whatever it is, making 700 wheel on any platform, you can look and see what that blower is capable of.
Right.
It's a given, amount of flow.
But if you want 700 wheel, B9 all day long. I mean, that's where that kind of power is going to be made, and we're not far from it now.
Well, even B9, 700 wheel is
That's what
even at a B9 at 700 wheel is. that's the top end of the B9.
Currently, but like with rods and the next generation of turbo upgrades and tunes, it's going to be trivial. But to your point, that blower is not even really capable of that.
It's just, granted, you'll find dynos that will make that. I can guarantee you, it won't make that on our dyno.
No, we also have observed that the MercRacing Supercharger kit is even with its current pretty mild tune is way faster than anything that you could do with the stock Supercharger. It's a fast car.
Yeah, and it's more power everywhere. It's also not about that peak number too. No. You're getting more power across the entire power band, and it's going to be doing it more efficiently. So yeah, it's we're just getting started on the upgraded supercharger path.
Yeah, cars. But more information is to come. It's definitely not a cheap path, and you definitely need to be committed to the B8 platform. Because if you want to make that kind of power, the B9 turbo platform is where it's at. But you're going to pay, I don't know, $20,000 premium just to get into that car.
To start.
Right off the bat. Yeah. So you can put that money towards your B8 and,
and it still drives like a, instant response,
Yeah.
Supercharged, big motor. So, it's a lot of fun.
It's a little tricky too. I mean, I wish MercRacing the best, but they did the hardware and they released it. They didn't have the capability to do tuning, so they've been kind of selling the supercharger, and maybe people, sometimes people tell themselves things that aren't necessarily true. They have a story in their mind about what this supercharger is going to mean for them, but then we come along. We're the ones that actually make the rubber meet the road with the tuning, and the reality is going to be a little different than whatever made up thing is in somebody's head.
Right.
Right. So it's a little bit of a challenge. I think if we had done it and we came out with a supercharger and we offered it as a package with a tune and it was 50 wheel peak more to start off with, then we probably wouldn't sell any Supercharger kits.
It's tricky too because this is like Javad said, it's kind of in two phases where everybody knows about the Charger and then expects it to do a thing.
Well, people
and
buy it.
And yeah,
Like a lot of people from one of
and it's tough. It's people make up, like I said, their own dialogue as to what they expect out of things versus
And my point is, because of the dynamic and the way this is rolled out, it sets up the opportunity for some number of people to be disappointed, which is why we generally don't do that. We rolled out TTE 710 with tuning. We rolled out TTE 810, the hardware and everything with tuning. And so anyone who bought it knew what they were getting right off the bat. And the level of disappointment, is lower. So I'm hoping that there's not a lot of disappointment out there.
Well, I mean, this should be us.
But as an industry expert who does this for a living, I'm if I was talking to Jose, I would just tell him, you may have to prepare yourself for some of that. But we'll try to make
that's not a new thing. Everybody's those questions are being asked and whatnot already. So those that have bought it, we've got software. So
we're gonna make the most power we can with it. It's a really nice piece of kit. We tracked the car with it. Runs great. The quality of the parts are great. And it's not even necessarily the Supercharger. It's just the fueling limitations and everything. It's just going to take time to get past.
Like I said, we're getting started with this path,
and we don't want people to be disappointed. I'm just kind of preparing that if you're feeling disappointments, just know why you might be.
You self-inflicted it,
and be prepared for a slightly longer rollout than maybe you wanted.
Right.
But I think between us and MercRacing, we're committed to make anyone who has that kit happy, and we will continue to work.
Yeah, and we were doing a lot of wrenching. We were trying to get the fueling stuff to happen at the same time, so we'd really be able to showcase, hey, here's where this is going to end up. You can step up through the given paths. The fueling stuff is taking longer than we wanted, but it is still in process. We are committed to getting that done and seeing all this pipeline.
There's one fueling solution we were hoping for that won't work.
Yeah, no, it's been a tough road. The injector setup in these motors is kind of unique to this motor, so it's kind of a pain. There's not a lot of obviously other resources to tap into.
Also, not the best quality injectors,
especially not if you want to modify the injector themselves. So we've got some other stuff coming though.
Well, I think